Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to this video. So this is actually the day after I recorded the clips that you're going to be seeing coming up. I was working on the engine a little bit, got it back from the machine shop, but I wanted to go over this ahead of time that I did make a few mistakes in this video and kind of confused myself. What I'm kind of chalking this up to is complacency. So I usually have a very systemic way of going through and putting everything together, and I did something completely different this time. Not sure why. I don't know if it's just, like I said, felt too comfortable, so I'm like, we'll just throw it in there, it won't be a big deal. But I ended up confusing myself and doing some things kind of backwards, not in the right order, and could have been an issue if I didn't catch it. So I did catch it, but wanted to make that clear ahead of time. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make some mistakes, we're gonna talk about it, and move on with life. Let's get started. All right, what's up guys? Welcome back. So we got the engine block back from the machine shop. Everything is all cleaned up. Got the fresh cam bearings in it. Everything's nice and spiffy. So now we're gonna basically just get to assembling everything. So I'm gonna plug the holes first, and then we'll go through and start putting everything else together. Most of the stuff here, I'm just gonna reuse everything, a lot of it. So gonna do new bearings, but gonna use the same rings and pistons. Probably not even gonna clean them. Timing chain, all that stuff. I've got a new timing gear and a new pump, oil pump, because there was some scores and scratching inside that one from the metal flake. So if this is the first time you're seeing this, there was some metal that got circulated in this one. That's why I took it out and got it cleaned. A couple of the cam bearings were like shredded and falling apart, so just went ahead and did that because it's pretty cheap and I didn't really like them. So that's where we're at. Alrighty boys, so basically what I'm doing now here is I'm just taking these set screws and I'm putting a little RTV on them. Just dabbing a little bit, dabbing a little bit around the ends just to get it on the threads, and then I'm threading them right in the holes. So these are just 3/8 by 16. They're not an NPT fitting, so I'm gonna put a little RTV on them just to kind of seal up the threads a little bit more. But this isn't really all that's gonna be sealing it. So I did get the DoD Delete Valley cover that has the O-rings on there. So this is just a little bit of extra insurance. This should typically be enough to seal it without having to plug these holes, but I'm plugging and using the block off that has the sealer gaskets on there. So should be more than enough. Doing both of them, even if one of these were to fail or leak a little bit, the other gasket should catch it. So I'm not gonna smear this crap off of here now. I'm just gonna let it cure, and then I'll cut it off with probably a razor or something like that, just so I don't make a mess. But just gonna keep doing this, and I probably gonna have to go buy another set screw. When I took them out, one of them disappeared on me. So one of them disappeared. I don't know where it went. So I'm just gonna keep going through. I'll do this and I'll come back when it's done. All right, so we'll give her the flip and then we'll start putting the crank and stuff in. Bearings, crank. Yeah, nice and clean. So I did this time get the cam bearings done at the shop. Last time I did it at the same shop, they charged me $70 last time, $75. And this time it was $100, so it was a little more than last time. So I think next time I decide to do it, I'm just gonna end up buying a tool and do it myself. Something I haven't done before, so might as well learn how to do it. So I'm gonna go and open up the boxes. I got boxes and boxes everywhere. I got a ton of unboxing stuff to do. But I won't bore you guys with the big unboxing video for like 20 different things. So these are the same bearings that I have in the Ranger right now, the Engine Tech bearings. Seem to be working for what I'm doing so far. So we're just gonna continue with what we know, and we're gonna send these. So we got all the bearings, center, everything else. I'm just gonna take one of them out. And then there's a little tab on here. See the little tab? That's gonna go in this little tab here. Push that down so it's flush on both. Stick this one off to the side. Then I'll take half of these. And I'll do the same thing. So we got the little tang there. And then there's these little openings for all those little spots. All right, so just make sure that these are lined up. Push them down. Very simple. Line the tang up. Push the bearing in. Don't get your glove stuck underneath it. All right, so now that these are all in, I'm gonna throw some assembly lube on it, and then we'll put the crank in. Just assembly lube. Put it on both sides. I don't know when I'm gonna be able to run this thing after I get it assembled, so I don't mind putting a healthy dose on. Okie dokie, so now we're gonna put the crank in. We put the old dirty crank back in. So, kinda maybe got lucky a little bit. There was some metal in the engine, but nothing came through any of the bearings on this side, so that's always nice. So I'm just gonna leave this here and I'll put the main caps on and torque those down. So main caps, you're gonna have 4 that are facing backwards. Little feet on these things. So there's these little feet. You're gonna have 4 that are facing backwards and 1 that's facing forward this way. What I did when I took these apart, I just took the bolts and flipped them the other way just so I could lay them down on the bench. So these are actually numbered 1 through 5. So 5 is gonna go on the back. So I'm gonna take these, flip them back to this side. I'm gonna take the side bolts out, put the bearing in it, and then we can toss it in. Put the bearing in again. Make sure it's nice and clean. And then I'll probably put a little bit of assembly lube on this bearing also, just this little piece, and then we'll toss it in. Probably don't need as much, but we'll do it just to be safe. I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of snug them down by hand first. We'll go through and do all of them, and then I'll go through and torque them down. They're 2 different sizes for whatever reason. They decide they want to be really creative and make them 2 different sizes. Really awesome. Very awesome. I'm just gonna see if they're down far enough that I can even thread these outside ones in. Yep, so that should be good. And then each one I put on, I'm just gonna kind of turn the crank a little bit and make sure it does actually turn. And I'll do that for every one as I go through and torque them down. Right, so I'm gonna do these inner ones first, and the specs I found were 15 foot-pounds and then 80 degrees. So I got this set up on 15 foot-pounds, which is basically nothing, so I had to actually loosen them all back up because that impact gets them tighter than 15. So we're gonna get 15 on here, and then we're gonna go through and do 80. But what I think I might do is we'll put about 80 degrees on it, and then I think I'm gonna tighten the wrench up and see how tight that thing actually is, so I can just use a torque spec instead of the degrees. The approximate degrees, 60? That's gotta be 60. Yeah, that looks about right. So we'll go to 60. Now let's test it, see how far it turns before it clicks. Oh, a little bit, maybe we'll go a little bit less. We'll go to like 55. Let's see if we get about 80 degrees out of it. Yeah, that should be pretty close, so we'll go to 55. Which works out slick because around 50, 55 is usually what I go to on the rod bolts. So it's not very guys, as you can see, so the other one, I was supposed to 15 and 50 degrees. That's intense. 53 or something like that. So let's play the same game, just play. We're on 15. Give some. Let's see where we gotta get approximately. 53 degrees. So I'm 50. We'll go to 50 foot-pounds. Maybe that'll be the Rockstar method. If you guys are using just a torque spec and not angle on these, what are you guys doing? What angle do you use? That looked about 50, didn't it? 45-ish. So what do we call it, 55 and 50? 55, 50 and a smidge of a yank. As I said, I just want to keep kind of checking this thing as I tighten it down. Now that it's completely torqued down, I just want to make sure that the crank is going to spin free, and that should be good. You can see some of the assembly lube coming back through the cross drilling, so we know there's some lube in there. So this is all torqued down. Got the side bolts all in, everything should be good, and now I can really actually start putting the pistons and rods in. Alright guys, so took all the old bearings out, got the new bearings in, and I'm just gonna go through 1 through 8. I did mark them just so I don't get confused, because when I took them apart, the front of the engine was over here, and now I have it opposite, but not a big deal. Just wanted to make sure that I'm gonna put them back in the right order. It shouldn't really matter because it's new bearings, but I want the same piston and rod to go in the same hole, which is probably irrelevant, but that's what I like to do. So I'm going to put all this stuff back in now. Alrighty guys, so I'm gonna do something a little bit weird. Weird for me anyways, and I'm gonna do just one side all at the same time. I'm gonna go 2, 4, 6, 8. I usually always do them just in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At least that's what I feel like I want to do in my head a lot, but I'm gonna go through and do it. So I'm gonna grab piston number 2. Make sure the dot is forward and the rings are offset from each other. Grab my tapered ring compressor, Summit 3.780 inch ring compressor. I'm gonna make sure the crank journals are down. And I'll put this little guy in there, just like this. And we'll just thumb it in. See? Wow. Look at that. You guys have probably seen me in a few different videos going over these ring compressors, and I just really enjoy them because you don't have to fight with them at all. Just kind of push it down. Alright guys, so here's the point in the video where things kind of start to go off the rails. So I said in the video that I usually don't go down one side. I'll do like from front to back, which isn't completely true. I've done it before where I just do one side, but the difference is I normally do one piston and then I'll connect it to the crank and put the rod cap on. So this is where I kind of messed up and confused myself. I went all the way down one side, didn't put any of the caps on, and then I was fighting with like flipping it back over, putting the caps on, and just that's where I confused myself and should have just did it the way I normally do. And I eventually do go back to doing it that way where I put one in, seat it all the way on the rod, put the cap on. But now you can watch me kind of fumble around with this thing and messed up my whole routine. So I'm gonna go faster this time. Let's try to go faster. Quick. Sometimes I don't push all the way down either. That was, I think, what I did with that one. So this one I'm just gonna check the ring position because I don't think I checked the rings. Yep, these rings were like lined up perfectly. So that was a bad idea. Good thing I went back in and checked them. And yeah, I'm not really gonna clean the pistons. I'm sure they're just fine the way they are. There we go. Number 8. Check the ring. Yep, see these ones are good. Make sure the crank journal's down. There we go. So that one's in. Now I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So let's actually, before we do the other side, let's actually put these rod caps on. How about that? I'm gonna make sure that the bearing tangs are lined up so the tangs go on the same side. I'm gonna go through and line these up. Alrighty, so now I'm gonna go through and put all the assembly lube on, and then we'll go through and try to get these all bolted up to the crank. I'm doing this a little bit different than what I'm used to and what I'm comfortable with, so this should be interesting. Not really doing them like in order or anything. And I usually just, like I said, do them all in order, 1 through 8, and then don't really have to worry about much. But I'm gonna make it really confusing for myself. I'm gonna do it all in a weird order. So we'll see how this goes, guys. We'll see how this goes. That one is tight. I'll take the next one closest to the top. And then as I do all these, like I said, I want to keep kind of rotating everything, make sure everything's still spinning okay. Make sure there's no issues. So I'm gonna put the crank journal down, and then spin this back over. And we'll put the number 2 back in. Or number 4 back in. I think I'm doing this like the most complicated way possible, guys. What do you think? And I'm just goobering all that. Sorry, this isn't a very exciting video for you guys. No burnouts or anything, right? Just doing dumb stuff and, you know, building things. No entertainment here. Alright, so now we got the whole passenger side done. We're gonna get the driver's side 1 through 7 done now. So let me do it the other way, the way that I normally like to do it. I'll see if I feel better about that. Or maybe not, I don't know, we'll see. I'll change the camera angle a little bit. Show you what I like to try to do. I think maybe my camera angle was messing me up. So I'll show you what I normally do, guys. So I usually take the piston, the number one ski, put some assembly lube on it. Put it in, get it in the bore, and then pull it right down. And then put it down right away and put it on the crank. Yeah, I'm definitely confusing myself with the way that I'm doing it, trying to do it different than I normally do. I just put the number 2 cap on the number 1 rod. Well, the number 1 cap on the number 2 rod, that's why I was just switching it. Not good, guys. See, stuff like that is not good. Yeah, wow, I've never done that before. I'm glad I numbered the caps, like I said, so I didn't get confused. Because I noticed when I went to grab the cap for number 1, it was gone. Wow, never did that before. So I'm trying to do things faster and be more efficient, but it's just causing me more problems. So yeah, now let's get back to where we were at. So I'll continue to show my other method. I hope you guys don't mind me leaving all this stuff in there and actually showing you my mistakes and my mishaps, because I feel like that's stuff that everybody does, but a lot of people try to hide it and cover it up. And they're not honest about stuff. So hopefully you guys appreciate that. Yeah, so now we'll do the number 3. Make sure that I actually have a number 3 piston and a number 3 cap. I just kind of get a little weird about it. So oh man, now I got myself all jacked up. I'm all paranoid. This is probably painful to watch, guys. Is it as painful to watch as it is for me to actually be doing this right now? I've never struggled this much putting one of these back together. I'm just, because I tried to, like I said, mess myself up. Doing something that I'm, you know, trying to do something that I'm not comfortable with, or a method that I'm not comfortable with. I normally do them 1 through 8, and I try to do just one side. And then what I tried to do is I slammed all the pistons in, all on one side at the same time. I think I've done it before where I do one side before, but I always do like one piston, then I put the cap on completely, and then I'll do the whole piston rod and cap and everything at the same time. Now I'm just rambling, but try to do all the pistons and then no caps, and that kind of, I think it messed me up. I think it messed me up, boys. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how bad I messed it up when it balls up. Alrighty guys, so for the rest of the rod bolts, I'm just gonna go through and torque them down. So I'm gonna do these I'm gonna do 53 foot-pounds. So that was 53. Just double check, make sure that it actually is at 53. I'm having a little bit of a rough night and starting to question myself now on everything that I do because of the few mistakes that I did make that I normally don't make. So I guess it kind of shows that, I guess what I think the lesson is don't get complacent. You think you know how to do something and try to change my system. I think that's what the biggest thing is. I tried to change the way that I'm comfortable doing it for really no good reason. It ends up taking longer than normal. So I'm gonna do these two, then I'm gonna have to remember to go back to that one. Once I get the assembly lube on it, I don't like to rotate it anymore than I have to. Alright guys, so here we got the camshaft. So I'm gonna put this guy in. So this is the Little John Stage 1 twin turbo cam. This is the one I'm gonna go with on this build. So I've done the sloppy Stage 2 and I wanted to try something a little bit different. I really don't have anything against the other one. And it was really a tough decision, to be honest. Just because of the value and the quality of the sloppy Stage 2 or the Elgin 1840p, but kind of just wanted to, like I said, try something different. It's going to be a twin turbo car, and they have a cam that's supposedly a twin turbo cam design, so figured we'd give it a swirl. I did get this thing on a eBay 15% off day, so I was able to get $100 off of this setup. So just gonna make sure this thing is in there nice and it turns nice. I was able to get $100 off of the whole setup. So the kit came with the cam, the dual springs, and the push rods, retainers, the valve seals, the whole shebang. So I'll show you guys. These are the valve springs that it came with. So these are pretty nice. So should be pretty cool. Like I said, just kind of trying to try something different and see how it goes, see how I like it. That's pretty much the whole story. All right, that's gonna be it for this one, guys. I'm gonna go in and watch a movie. So got the new oil pump on, cam gear, cam retainer plate, cams in. Everything is pretty much decent there. Nice shiny oil pump, so I know that I'll have problems with that in probably 25 miles. So here we go. More to come. Stay tuned.